Hi everyone, it's Rax bringing you a video on an extremely important topic, Magic Find. I cannot tell you how many times I've been asked about this in the last couple of weeks, and I want to make a video to clear the air and talk about everything regarding Magic Find and the player numbers and exactly what it does for your character. We'll show you an amazing tool where you can calculate exactly where to find everything, and I'm going to show you how to build a Magic Find character and exactly how much Magic Find you should have if you want to play. There is a golden rule to it that a lot of people, unfortunately, don't know yet, but we will cover that here in just a second. So let's start with Magic Find. So you run around, you're playing the game, and you get these things that say 7% better chance of getting magic items. What does that mean? And also you can see it in your character sheet right here. I have 496 Magic Find right now. When you kill a monster and they drop an item, let's say it drops as a white sword, Magic Find increases the quality of the items that drop. That's what Magic Find does. So when the items drop, they will be of higher quality. It has absolutely nothing to do with dropping more items. Nothing. So you are going to get more uniques, more set items, more rares, more magic items, Magic Find. That's what it does for you, and nothing else. It is not going to give you more runes. It is not going to give you more keys. It is not going to make super chests drop more loot or better loot. There's just a rare exception. The super chests don't work. But that's what Magic Find does. So when you're killing a bunch of monsters and they're dropping a bunch of white items and gray items that suck, it's probably because you don't have a lot of Magic Find. So one bad thing about Magic Find is when you have a lot of it, you are not going to get any more whites or grays, and those are commonly used to make rune words. So for example, if you're trying to get like something for your mercenary, for a treachery, these gray items are not going to drop as often, all right? Magic Find increases the quality of the items. So one huge, gigantic misconception that has been brought to my attention a lot over the last few weeks is there are certain points where Magic Find has diminishing returns, or there's a cap, or there's a such thing as too much Magic Find. That is all utter nonsense. Magic Find always has diminishing returns from the very beginning. The diminishing returns don't start at 200 or 350 or 500. It just does not exist. It's always diminishing for the Magic Find for sets and uniques and rares. So the famous image that everyone always shows is this one. So down here is your total Magic Find. Then the blue is the amount of magic items you will get. The yellow is the rares, the green is the sets, and the gold is the uniques. Notice how let's look at the unique graph. It's always going up, but it's always going up slower. You're always having diminishing returns from the very beginning. I don't know where this concept even came from of the diminishing returns start at 200 or 350 right here. It's right here where it starts. No, it's always diminishing. And then the next question I always get is, what is the right amount of Magic Find that you should have? And there is a golden rule here that you should follow. You should have as much Magic Find as possible where it does not slow down your clear speed. That's the answer. You want as much as possible where it does not slow down your clear speed. Unless, of course, you're looking for rune word bases, then you might want to tone down your Magic Find, as we discussed earlier, again, to find these gray items, right? So at the end of this video, I'm not going to do it right now, but at the end, I'm going to show you a planner that shows you this concept. But just as a simple idea here, this Grand Charm that gives me 1 to all cold skills. So let's see here. If I pull up my Blizzard, I'm doing 6,300 damage now. If I take off this 1 Grand Charm, I lost 300 damage on Blizzard, right? So I have a choice. I could either take this Cold Skill Grand Charm, or you want to know what? I can load it up with 3 more of these 7 Magic Find small charms. I can get 21 more MF. Always choose clear speed over Magic Find whenever you can within reason. That is the golden rule. As much Magic Find as possible, where you don't sacrifice clear speed. You need to be detonating everything that you find, one-shotting everything in order to find as much stuff as possible. So that's the beginning of Magic Find. The second thing I want to talk about is player count, the number of people in your party. When you're fighting a monster, and let's say they could drop up to 6 items. That's the maximum they can drop is 6. There is a chance that in each of those 6 items, it rolls something called no drop, which just means it doesn't drop in that slot. So let's say, I don't know, you kill Mephisto. He has 6 items that could drop, 4 of them roll no drop, so you only get 2 items, right? Increasing the player count decreases the chance of no drop. So decreasing the chance of no drop is just a fancy way to say you get more drops. Okay? So player count increases the number of drops. Magic Find increases the quality of drops. And don't worry, I'm going to show all this in a fancy tool in a second. In fact, let's look at it right now. So Maxroll has this gorgeous, if you go to Diablo 2 resources drop calculator, it has this beautiful tool where you can just play around with it and just see how everything works. So for example, all the sorcerers in the world are looking for an Oculus, right? Oculus. Let's punch it in. Let's say you're playing on Hell. Let's say you're playing by yourself. Let's sort by best chance. And let's say you've got no Magic Find. You don't have a single point of it. If you did not know this, the quest means the first time that you kill a monster, they have better drops. So the quest would be the first time you kill Mephisto. You got a 1 in 845 chance, playing by yourself with 0 Magic Find in Hell, to get the Oculus straight off the bat. Now, Andariel, funny enough, in Diablo 2 Resurrected, always has her quest drops. The other ones don't, but Andariel does. They built that into the game automatically, so Andariel quest you always get, which is amazing. So what would happen if we had 100 Magic Find instead? Well, you can just play with it. You can do whatever you want with this tool. And look, now Mephisto, we're going to get it better than 1 in every 500 tries, 1 in 494. Well, what if we go to 200? Notice our chances keep getting better. Now it's 1 in 401. We go to 300, 1 in 359. Notice how there's no magical point where this stops going down. It's always getting better. And then you get up to 500 MF, you have a 1 in 318 chance. So compare 1 in 318 to 1 in 845. You just saved yourself 500 runs of Mephisto to get an Oculus, right? So, and you don't have to look at items. You can look at monsters, for example. You can pick Bale, and you can mess around and do different things. You want to know what? Let's go back to the Oculus. So if we go to the Oculus and we sort this again, let's stay at 0. What happens if we increase the player count? What if we go to 2? It didn't change anything. What about 3? And now it moved everything up. Now, why did that happen? Player count only improves the amount of drops that you get in odd player count numbers. So what that means is at players 1, you're going to have a 1 in 845 chance. That is not going to improve until you reach the next odd number of players in the game. So if I add 1 more person at players 2, this should not change anything. And it didn't. But once you hit 3, Now it's up to 1 in 754. Same rule applies. At 4 players, not going to improve anything. Okay, but when we get to 5, got a little bit better. 6, it doesn't do anything. At 7, it got a little bit better. And once again, finally at 8, it does nothing. So if you're playing with all of your buddies here, you can actually kick one of them out, and actually your MF chances, or excuse me, your drop chances, I should call them, are the best at players 7. All right? And then, of course, then you add in your 500 Magic Find, and now you're getting it at 1 in every 277 chances from Andariel Quest. And remember, you always have the quest bug on Andariel. All right, so we understand now that Magic Find improves the quality of items. We understand that player count increases the quantity of items by reducing the no drop chance in the odd player intervals. And by the way, another question real quick that I always get asked, when you're playing online on Battle.net, the only way to increase the number of players in your game is to have people join. But if you're playing on single player, let me show you here. If I go here and I go on single player, you can actually enter a command to change the number of players. So if I hit enter and I type /players, and with no space, I type 3. Can't see it. Let me just type it a couple more times so it comes up above my webcam. But you're going to see here eventually that it changes the players to 3. See how it says players set to 3? And then you can go farm that way. So if you want to have the best chance, you can set the players to 7 and then go plow. All right. So Magic Find is the quality of items. Doesn't affect runes, doesn't affect the keys that drop for Ubers or anything like that. It also doesn't affect anything to do with merchants. Gambling, crafting, nothing like that. And player count gives us more drops. So how do we build a character that can Magic Find effectively, extremely powerfully, and still detonate the game? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you how I built my sorceress, okay? Just to give you an example and some of the decisions that I made. Well, probably the easiest decision is the Spirit Monarch. This Monarch drops in Hell difficulty. You can get a white Monarch from the cows, for example. You can get it off of the armor rack right next to Mephisto. You can get it in the Ancient Tunnels. You socket quest, so you get 4 sockets, and you make a Spirit. It's got 2 to all skill levels. It's got tons of resistances on it, and it makes you cast faster. This is a no-brainer. It's easy. The next super easy thing to get is the Shaco. The Shaco gives you 50 Magic Find. You take it to Larzook when you get your socket quest. You socket it and you put a perfect topaz in it. It gives you massive skills, life, mana, reduces the damage you take, and gives you 74 Magic Find. Again, don't just focus on Magic Find. It also has to have power with it. The 2 to all skills and the massive life and mana make this a no-brainer for almost every class. Now here is where there are several choices for the sorceress, but if we're focusing on Magic Find, really the only choice is the Oculus. So the Oculus is 3 to all skills, faster cast rate, some resistances, and 80 total Magic Find when you socket quest it and put an ist in it. The other choices you could consider are a Spirit Sword, and that's totally fine. It's got 2 to all skills. It's got the same stuff that you have over here. But you lose 80 Magic Find, and you lose 1 to all skills if you don't use the Oculus. So the Oculus is just an upgrade over the Spirit Sword. Another choice is Wizard Spike. Wizard Spike has super fast cast rate, and it has way more resistances. It's very good for staying alive. But I typically only use Wizard Spike if I'm like tellying to bail. So again, Oculus wins there. Heart of the Oak Sage is a flail as a rune word. It's extremely powerful. It has better cast rate than the Oculus. It has better resistances than the Oculus. It still has 3 to all skills. It's extremely powerful. And you also can get rid of the random teleport from Oculus, which is another bonus. So Hodo is amazing, but again, you drop 80 MF for a very, very tiny bonus. So this is one example where you could take the 80 MF in this spot. Hodo is not a lot more powerful than the Oculus, and it's way more expensive. So that's why I went with the Oculus Ring. Or excuse me, Oculus Weapon. Ring is Diablo 3. I played too much Diablo 3. Now, Talrosh's armor and amulet are definitely luxury items. But if you can find them, if you get Tal's amulet and chest, which are very rare, and the belt you can find anywhere. People will give you the belt for free. But if you can find these two, look at the bonuses that we're getting. 65% better magic find chance. The chest has 1 million resistances on it. And also, as you start to get these bonuses, notice the green text in the middle, it gives you faster cast rate. Same with the belt. So then with 2 faster cast rate rings, you can now hit the 105 breakpoint, which is amazing. So we are really rocking some extremely good gear, but you don't have to use this. You could use a gold wrap here. You could use a Skulders here, which has like, after you put a perfect topaz in, it has like 140 magic find in it. And then you can just use whatever the best amulet you can find is. You could use something as simple if you're playing the Blizzard Sorceress. You could just use a blue glacial plus $3 cold skills amulet. Those aren't that rare. Again, people will trade it to you either for free or for almost nothing. And that's an example where you can just take a lot of power and drop a little bit of magic find just to crush everything. But if you can get the amulet and the chest piece and the belt, all of these bonuses make it absolutely incredible. Chances is just a free 40% magic find. If you find that you are dying, you can switch these for even yellow gloves that have like dual resistances to keep you alive. Or you could take Mage Fist for more cast rate, and then maybe you could pick up, maybe you got lucky enough and found a Stone of Jordan. You could put one of those on, or 2 of them if you're lucky enough. But if you can get away with it, you can throw on the Chances here. And for the boots, ideally you would have War Travs. But again, any dual resistance magic find boots will do just fine. Any yellow pair will work. Now, when we come down here to the charms, if you can get a torch from doing the Ubers, that's amazing because it gives you $3 skills. And then, of course, whenever you can find these 7 magic find small charms, or 5 or 6 or whatever you can find, you can stash them down here. But here's one of the key points that I want to bring up in understanding clear speed versus just stacking endless magic find. What I could do instead of using these cold skill grand charms right here is I could just get rid of them, and I could just stack 7 magic find small charms as I found them and just put them everywhere in my inventory, right? But that will actually hurt the items that I get per hour versus having the cold skill grand charm. So let's see what would happen here. Let me go back on my real sorceress here for a second. And let's see the damage it would do if I dropped all those cold skill grand charms. So here we are. And my Blizzard does 6,300 damage. If I drop these, okay, this is a Gi, it's not going to do anything. Better not crash here. I just lost 1,000 damage. 1,000 damage for 21 times 4, 84 magic find is absolutely not worth it. And that is where you have to draw the line in the sand. It is not worth picking up 80 or so magic find at these levels to drop your damage by 1,000. So it's a balance, right? But don't just stack magic find endlessly, and also don't neglect magic find, and don't have it in your mind that there is a point where you should stop stacking magic find. If you have the resistances and you're not getting killed, and you have good enough damage to start crushing everything, then by all means, stack as much Magic Find as you can possibly find. Anyway, guys, that was a quick little overview on Magic Find and player count and how it works in the game and the tool that you can use to look for the items that you're looking for, as well as an example of how did I itemize my character in order to balance Magic Find and power and what went into some of those decisions. And why did I fill my inventory with power instead of just Magic Find? It's because detonating it quickly is better. I hope this video helped you. If it did, let me know in the comments down below. There are a lot of other topics that I could talk about. There's some misconceptions on some other things that I'd be happy to go over. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.